All right, welcome back to the Unbounded podcast. I'm your host, Todd Simmons, and we are back with a special treat. We are headed toward our mid-season break, but I wanted to end this season with a special guest and a special friend that I want to introduce in a second. So, Dr. Leenette Joseph. We'll get into the story, but Dr. Leenette Joseph, the co-founder of RLK Team Solutions, two-time author, which we'll get into her latest book that I received 24 hours ago, but just a great friend, a great partner, a great entrepreneur spirit, a great person, and a human being. And today we're going to be getting into it. We're going to be getting into what we do on the Unbounded podcast. Talk about life, have a great conversation with people I meet on the street, people I meet in life, people who have lived the unbounded spirit. So we want to get into it with Dr. Leenette Joseph today. Welcome to the show. It is well placed where you're at in this lineup. I really appreciate having you on today. We've got the sun shining outside in Florida, I hope. We got the sun shining out here in DC, which I'm looking out of my window. So what a great day to have a great conversation with you. Welcome to the show. What is happening in your life?
Thank you so much for the invitation. I love being here, and having this chat with you. And yeah, it's nice in Florida. It's warm. I think you all sent a little bit of cold to Florida and a few weeks ago, but it's good. It's nice and sunny. I actually had to close the the blinds a little bit so that the sun wouldn't mess up the light. But
No, that's all good. I did the opposite of you. I opened the blinds because we have had the worst winter in 7 years of me living up here. So the sun's shining today. It's 80 degrees. You almost got this podcast episode filmed outside because I was on my rooftop balcony about 10 minutes ago. I was like, man, if this garbage truck wasn't in this alley right now, I would probably be out here recording this thing. But hey, thank you. Welcome to the show. I know we gave a theme, and those of you who are going to listen and watch this show on all of our platforms, you'll see the theme. We're talking about how passion, purpose, and being authentic translate into real career success and growth and leadership. And I always like to start with a funny story. If you've listened to the podcast, how I talk about sometimes how I meet people. So we weave in people that have had, impacts on me, from being an aisle 6 in the grocery store to people who I've met in the sauna, which I always have to explain that story. If you saw the first episode with Rahil Siddiqui, which great episode, talk about how I met him in the sauna. But Leenette is a veteran. I'm a veteran, as you have read in probably a bio. But Lynette's a veteran. Lynette served about 25 years in the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken.
23.
23. She didn't want me to give her those extra two. You don't want the extra two. So Lynette served 23 years in the Air Force, and I served 25 years in the Air Force. And, only reason I bring that up, we talk about life and liberty on this show and all kinds of other stuff. But the only reason I bring that military service up, which I know we both are proud of, is when people see Lynette and I and her other half, Rob Joseph, we've been kicking around for about 7 years. We never met one day, 1 second, 1 minute in the Air
Yes.
Force. And between the three of us, we serve about 60 plus years, 70
So,
years in the Air Force, because I think Rob did
yeah.
30. We served about 70 plus years in the Air Force, almost 80 combined years. And none of us ever, 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 ever met each other. Matter of fact, I didn't even know who Rob and Lynette was until I watched these two husband and wife do a retirement ceremony together around a little bit before mine. And I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Two chiefs retiring at the same rank and at the same time. I thought that was really cool. And fast forward in the mix of this country going through COVID, less than 8 months later, where we were both retired, all three of us actually, and a mutual friend puts us all on a Zoom together. And why I start with that story, because, number one, stories has power, but also, I'm 50 years old. I looked at my life and I look at all these injections in my life, and some of the greatest people who've had the greatest influence on my life has been people who just showed up in these weird, in saunas, on Zooms, in aisle 7 of the grocery store, in emergency rooms. And and this is where the greatest stories of Unbounded has come from, is these moments. So I highlight that because when people see us together, the Josephs, Robin, Lynette, and me, they always assume that we've known each other for
Yeah.
30 years.
Mhm.
They have always assumed. The first time I ever met them in person is when I invited them to an event I was having, and we just jumped in and started doing stuff. Didn't never saw them before in my life in person. So I start with that because as we get into who Lynette is, I think that's the essence of who she is, right? We talk about living passion, purpose, being an authentic person. And now my first question with that story is that started somewhere. I know a little bit about your story, but I want to like rewind the tape and I want you to take the listeners back to versions. When I introduce you as Dr. Joseph, they automatically it goes a bio way. Oh man, Dr. Joseph. Then I introduce you as someone who just served. Let's introduce the listeners to 35 years ago, Lynette, and how that journey has come to now Dr. Joseph. If you can tell us about where you started and how that passion has driven you to be who you are today.
Oh man, it started. Oof, you said 35. That's
I just threw it out there. I don't even know what a 35. I knew you've been out of the military almost 30, so I didn't want to start in basic training. So I'm like, let's go 5 years past that.
that's way back. I was like, man, do I got to start when I failed the ASVAB 3 times before I can get
Whatever mark on the journey of your life, whatever spot you got at 35, let's start there.
the majority of my life I've been in the military. I've moved on, I've done so many other things, but the bulk of it is really my journey in the service. And it took me a while to get there. It's funny because I joked about it, the ASVAB. I didn't speak any English when I took the ASVAB to come in the military. So they're like, nah, try again. You didn't score enough to come in the Air Force. So I try again, and I tried again, and trying again over and over. It was really 9 years before I went back in. I took the first time I took it at 17, and then I joined at 26.
Oh man, see, that's a piece of the story I didn't know. I didn't know you had a 9-year hiatus between testing.
I realized after the second try that I needed to understand English in order to take the test. Um, but I never quit, and that's probably going to be the theme throughout this conversation. That just because life gets hard doesn't mean that, oh, maybe that's a sign that I shouldn't do that. No, on the contrary, I'm just going to try even harder and keep going. But anyway, I went into the military. I had a great career. I did many jobs. I started in traffic management, then I cross trained into equal opportunity. And in between, I got out and I was a professional military instructor. So I did a little bit of everything. I love being challenged and doing new things. So that was the essence of my career. So I decided to retire. And when I came out, one thing that I noticed, especially some of my friends, I feel that you have so much when you're in the military that you get all this training and all this experience and all this leadership. And I feel that sometimes you feel you made it. I'm done. I'm done. So you come out and you're just kind of waiting for this amazing opportunities to land on your lap. And I realized that you have to continue growing. The first thing I did, I know COVID was hit, and that's actually how we met. You had an opportunity. You were looking for people to do some training, and I remember you joked about it. You said, "I didn't even know you spoke because you were so quiet in the first few meetings." And it's because I never met you before. And I was thinking, man, this guy is being really nice and he's offering this opportunity and he doesn't even know me. He doesn't know if I'm capable of doing it or and so it's I guess you're a little bit skeptical sometimes when you meet people because you're not used to sometimes people are very transactional and I was like, man, he's being really nice and he doesn't want anything in return. So that was great. But I we started in this journey and around the same time and we said I always loved teaching and that's a long other story. But I said, I really want to do this. I'm going to continue studying. I started doing my doctorate degree. I started getting certifications at the same time.
Before we get into the whole story, Lynette, I want to touch on a few of these touch points that you've given us. And for instance, I want to back up because you dropped so many things, and you know my brain. So you've known me long enough. Like my brain is firing like popcorn over here. I'm like, okay, I heard what she said there. That's a good point. But no, you talked about pivoting, and not just I'm talking about in life. So I want to put, a lot of things. I've had a lot of great conversations this week alone and Thursday with folks in all walks of life. We were talking about things, and we were talking about pivoting. We had a webinar last night for something that we do, and we had a guy who's a very well placed GovCon expert, and he talked about being visible, memorable, and trusted. Right? He said, "How are you visible, memorable, and trusted?" But I want to talk about pivot for a second because like I said, I introduced you as Dr. Joseph, and then you went into talking about transition, which you were referring to people who are in transition, particularly military. I would want a wide net for anybody. I think this question is for anybody. Like where you stop in wherever point in life and you pivot, there's probably just as much work to do that got you to success the first time. It might not be the same amount. It took a lot of work for you to get to 22 years in the military to the level of success that you achieved. Then you pivoted. So I want you to tell listeners a little bit about when you stopped the 22, 23-year career and you just didn't step out in everything because you weren't Dr. Joseph when you stepped out of that career. You weren't an author. At that point, you were a facilitator, an instructor, and understood curriculum, but your knowledge today, you would say probably is 10x that from based on things you have had to experience and jobs you've had in the civilian world. So, what advice would you give someone who's at that pivot, who's looking inner at themselves right now and going, do I have everything I need to go forward? Or what mindset should I achieve to go forward? What should I be thinking about as I pivot into something new?
I think the first thing is to not think that you have everything you need. That will be start right there. Uh, Everything changes. Everything changes. Is like I got my education. I got the bachelor's degree and I got the master's degree. I never put any value in reality on certifications. I thought it was like, oh, why do I need that if I have a degree? And I realized that's what keeps you relevant. That's what keeps you okay. This right now, AI, everything's changing. I'm taking a course right now, and so I came out and I said, in order for me to succeed beyond the military, let's say that there's no GS jobs, there's no none of that stuff, which it wasn't really my goal. I really wanted to go into the civilian life and embrace everything that comes with it. I need to be able to expand my knowledge, not just like, oh, I bring this experience and take it or leave it. So I started getting certifications. I started studying about psychological safety. I started studying about curriculum development. I've started taking a lot of small little courses and investing in myself. And I understand people get out and you are trying to figure out, wait a minute, between my retirement and this money, is it enough for me to sustain my family and so on? And it's really hard to make decisions. Am I going to spend this in this certification and this? But once I realize, okay, I have enough, I'm going to have shelter and food. I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I started spending because I wasn't making any money yet in terms of workforce development, but I started investing in myself and taking these courses here and there. And I think that that's really important. If people, sometimes we want to jump into a new career or we want to elevate the experience that we already have without putting the work and getting that education behind it. I think it was, for me, it was very important. I know it helped me be more successful because of that.
Yeah. And I know we are similar stories how we made super life decision transitions in the middle of COVID, which there was no blueprint for that. There's never been a COVID before in our lifetime, and there's never been a world shutdown in our lifetime. So I know there was a lot of uncertainty. I know the story. I know some of the story, I would say. I never know someone's whole story. I tell people all the time, it takes a lifetime to know someone's whole story, and you may not even get to the end of that. Even your spouse who you're married to for decades, you never know the whole story because it's always bits and pieces that's evolving. But I do know some of what we shared in the uncertain times. And I want you to share with, doing that journey of COVID. I know you were in the middle of getting a PhD, all these uncertainties about transition. It was a lot going on. What helped you stay committed? What helped you when, like, man, when you just felt like, you know what? I'm about to burn this computer. I'm putting the kerosene on it. Like, I don't need this. I already had my husband got a job. I don't need this mess. I'm good. When you got to that point, like when you were just like, I'm just gonna go lay on my pool and I'm deleting my Facebook account. What made you push through the next day?
It's funny because a lot of people, I post a lot in Facebook and LinkedIn and different things. And the reality is that we tend to post the things that obviously the good times. Oh, this is great. I accomplished this, I accomplished. You don't see the in between. You very seldom see the in between. And there was a lot I joke about, oh, the many times that I cry sitting on this desk on top of the keyboard. But it's true. I did cry going through the process of getting the doctorate degree, and these thoughts come to your mind. It's like, I'm this age, why am I doing this now? Why am I starting this now? Why am I trying to change careers now? Because I was offered jobs within the equal opportunity field, and I refused to. I wanted to follow my passion, so I said, you know what, I refuse to have plan B. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay the course, and I'm going to keep going. And as I started, I wanted to quit many times, especially the first and the second year. I wanted to quit. Keep in mind, this is now 3 years down the line. I got a year left, and I'm like, oh, when is this going to be over? But it was towards the end. It was now about not only expanding my knowledge and being able to do what I love doing, but it was also a test for myself. Can I really do this? Can I get to the finish line? So many people think that I'm wasting my time. Why am I doing this? Or maybe don't believe in me. Do I get mad or do I prove them wrong? And that's the choice I made, and I just pushed through it. But it was tough. There were some times that it was tough. You just gotta stay focused and stay. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? As long as you continue to stay aligned, right? Am I putting my energy and my effort into what my passion is, my finish line, my goal?
I see that. I know it was hard days, and I know what I appreciated about you and Rob and our relationship is those hard days we were able to say it. Like you say, not everybody sees. And I know there were a lot of frustrating days. I think sometimes we thought people took the work we were doing for granted. It was like, I do leadership, it's like it's so much. And if you ever met Rob, Lynette's husband, the life of the party kind of guy. Rob is doing the same thing. Rob is going back to school and get another master's. We all have continued to develop ourselves, and I agree. That's something that I talk about more lately. Is I flew in from Hawaii on Tuesday night, Tuesday evening. I landed at 4 o'clock in DC. There was a networking event that started at 6. I flew from Hawaii to DC, went to a networking event that I did not want to go to at 6. Ended up meeting some great people that helped me out with some things today. The next day, woke up tired, had another networking event at 6 o'clock that night. But those are the things that, and then the same thing, going to classes and signing up for courses. I think in that conversation about pivoting and letting people, I think, I've been trying to be more responsible on social media. But I don't think it's irresponsible for us to show that you're also happy. I wrote an article about that in LinkedIn the other day, that it's okay to be happy. It is okay to be happy if you're truly finding that peace. But it's also okay to be very brutally honest about, you know what, this is hard. If you want to go into entrepreneurship, I'm not giving you no hater talk. I'm not trying to persuade you to not do it, but I'm gonna let you know it is hard. It is not easy. And that doesn't mean don't do it. That just mean that probably there's better ways to do it because of the mistakes that we made and the successes that we have had based on just pure mistakes and luck sometime. But no, I appreciate that. And let's pivot into that. Tell us a little bit about the evolution, the creation of RLK Team Solutions. So how'd that come about? Give us a little background, what you guys are doing. We see you all over LinkedIn, on Facebook with your videos. They're famous for their videos. But tell us a little bit about RLK.
Okay. I think it started really when we were still in the military. We both love teaching and facilitating training. And for me, when I was towards the end of my career, I had the opportunity to go to Africa, to 7 different African countries. And, we traveled to Senegal and Malawi and Ghana. And and I was able to facilitate training. And it was so amazing to being able to interact with people from different backgrounds, different cultures. And at the end of the day, just seeing them pause and reflect, and the light bulb goes off, and you see that they're getting what you're saying. And this is how I practice leadership, and this is how I take care of my people, and this is how I make employees feel value and maximize productivity. And I could see them thinking and saying, okay, maybe, we do things differently, but maybe we can apply this and we can apply that. And it's just so powerful. You get to see the power of education right there in front of you. And for me, that was a big push to say, this is what I need to pursue when I get out. I don't need to. I know I have experience on X, Y, and Z, but this is what I need to be doing. I realized that again, that when it comes to leadership and developing people and trying to have a successful organization, that's universal. That's not an American thing. That's any country I went. I actually went to Romania too, and I had an amazing experience also training the armed forces over there. And it's so universal. And it really hit me in a way that I said, this is what I need to follow. This is what I need to do when I get out. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And of course, during COVID, we had a lot of time to think, and we said, wait a minute, we can really do this. Let's just go ahead and start coming up with a plan. My husband and I sat down and we decided and to create RLK. And it was funny because it was Rob and Leenette, right? Was the R and the L, and we're like, it doesn't go, it doesn't flow. It feels like it need another letter. So our daughters are Crystal and Keandra, so we decided to name it RLK Team Solutions. And our goal was to be honest, we started doing training. It's like, okay, we have RLK Team Solutions, we can teach. We go in there, and there's such a difference. And sometimes people don't know the difference, but there's a difference between training and workforce development.
And speaking and facilitating, there's a difference between all those
Yes,
things.
you can have the charisma, you can have that presence to be in the classroom and teach something. I can give you a lesson plan and you can go and teach it. But workforce development goes beyond that. Workforce development, we're talking about just understanding the problem, understanding the organization, understanding their struggles, and designing something that is going to fix that problem, is going to address whatever their desired outcome is, right? And it's a process. It's not just going out there with some slides and teaching.
It's not
Yeah,
slides in 2 hours.
exactly.
That is a briefing, and it's nothing. Briefing has its place. Webinars, all of those things have their place, but development is different.
Yeah. And we evolved through this process. We started our company in 2020. And again, our intention was really workforce development, but we were doing a lot of training. And from there, we evolved to say it has to be beyond this. It has to be about understanding the problem, understanding assessments, understanding curriculum development. How do we tailor, how do we customize training to really meet the client's needs? And we have evolved so much from, and we laugh about even our slides, what they look like when we started
Yeah,
this.
we all were there. I remember. We thought we were doing something. I remember like the 2020. I have hundreds of PowerPoints because I keep them all. And you go back to those early days. It's very humbling. It is very
Yeah.
humbling.
And understanding is that, okay, how much how much do you bring to this training experience, to this workforce development? How much do you bring your experience, and how much is evidence based? Okay, because you want to hear my stories, you want to hear me connecting this concept to a story to know, okay, this is how you apply it, but at the same time, what's behind it? There's a theory behind it. So we wanted to make sure that there was research, that there was evidence-based information that introduced into these lessons. And we have evolved so much from the beginning all the way to now that it almost feels like we're in a different company. But we enjoyed every minute of it. I wouldn't change it for a minute. All the mistakes have made us what we are today. And you can identify with that.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it's 2026, and your biggest statement there. You said we started in 2020, and you talk about evolving. There's no overnight success.
No.
And I hope anybody listening don't think I'm taking shots at anybody. If you do, then I apologize, but not really, because I'm just being honest. I wish people would have told me in 2019, 2020, some of the lessons that I had to learn in 2023. I teach an entrepreneurial class over at Georgetown now for a veteran based certificate program, a lot of veterans in the room. And it was tough for me at first. I started like 2 years ago. And now it's tough because I was like, what do I tell them? But now it's very easy to talk about There's no blueprint. I can't look at what Leenette has done. If I wanted to start RLK TS and just put the TS on the end of the RLK, the RLK TS company. If I wanted to start that tomorrow and I go, okay, I looked at everything Rob and Lynette are doing. I analyzed, I dissected their Facebook page for the last 6 years. I see what they're doing. And I'm just going to spend the next 30 days copying everything they have done. And then I'm going to launch. And I'm going to be equally as successful as them as they 7-year journey. Impossible. Now, I may look a little bit like RLK. I may sound a little bit like RLK, but I don't have the credibility, I don't have the muscle, and I will not be able to be sustainable and repeatable like RLK because I haven't gone through the processes. And I think in all sectors of entrepreneurship, that is literally the recipe for disaster of people who end up not enjoying this journey because the journey is trying to be expedited. And we all, and this isn't Todd Simmons now, oh, he's taking a shot because he's already got, to this. I am not to where I need to be. I'm saying it because we all started with that mindset that we were going. I would tell you, 2019, 2020, when I started my business, I was like, in 1 year, I know I'm going to be here. No, no. And then I saw this clip from Ice Cube a few years ago, and I've seen it to a lot of people. And Ice Cube was on this podcast or something, and he was talking about if you're not willing to go 5 years in business, make no money, be broke, make a lot of mistakes, be miserable half the time, if you're not willing to give it 5 years before you see glimmers of real success, don't start it. And I was like, man, Ice Cube, go rap. You don't know what you talking about, man. Go get in your 6'4" Impala and rap and make some kids movies. You don't have any idea what you're talking about.
I remember the first time that we did our one of our biggest jobs, and I was like, man, I'm about to get paid because I'm not. We're the owners, so that means we're gonna get all this money. And Rob started breaking down the taxes and how much goes into the company and how much goes to pay for the logistics and the travel. And I'm like, when I got my check, I'm like, what is that?
I need your money. We've both been there. You're like, oh yeah, I'm about to get paid. They about to for 2 hour speech. I'm about to go down here, and then I bought a plane ticket, and then I got a rental car, I got a hotel, and then I have everything. Then the 24% the government wanted,
Yes.
and all of
I
this
gotta
other
pay
stuff.
for
And
the
I'm like,
material, whatever. If I have handouts, whatever. I was like,
yeah, I'm in Staples printing in good color, in good. And next thing you know, you like, I made $500. Like this was not it.
it's like you have to go through your own journey. And this is something that I learned early on. You cannot compare yourself to anybody else. Even something, let's say, as simple as pricing. Even within your own company, doesn't mean that if you teach the same thing that I'm teaching, that we could charge the same. But what is it that I'm bringing to the table? Maybe I have more experience teaching. Maybe I'm just more entertaining, charismatic. Maybe I just bring an experience to the classroom that is different than yours. So maybe I might start charging this much instead of up here. So it's just it takes time to know and learn all those things, and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes in the process.
Yeah. That's a great point that you made for any entrepreneurs listening out there. You can't charge the same, like if you want to sell hamburgers on a food truck, you can't go down to DC and look at a food truck with a line that's around the corner and go, their hamburgers are $16 and 50 cents, which is probably true. And go, I'm opening up a hamburger shop tomorrow and I'm going to charge $16.50. No, you don't have the hamburger credibility. It doesn't mean that your hamburger isn't good. Your hamburger may be better than that hamburger. But you have to now build the brand trust first. You got to become visible, memorable, and all of these things first before you can charge 16 or go charge 16 and find your customer. It's actually Dan Sullivan talks about that too. If you want to start at $16.50 and find your ideal customer, yes, but that's a longer road. Especially if you put your truck next to the $16.50. If you're going to put it next to the other person, and you charging the same thing and nobody ever heard of you, then good luck. Right? So unless you're gonna bring now, I got hamburgers and truffle fries. Maybe because you gotta bring something different. But if you just gonna sell hamburgers, you in trouble.
And it's
Go ahead.
funny how you say if nobody heard of you. That was another thing, right? We have credibility with a certain group of people that know you and so on. But when you're trying to break into a different area and a different, you're trying to, okay, you're getting away from the federal government and you're trying to do the municipal and you're trying to do private sector. They're like, who are you again? The times that I have to say, you know what, we'll do a free lunch and learn, because from there you can see what I can offer and say, you know, maybe I want to hire you. And that hiring might not take place 2 months down the line. It might be a year down the line.
Exactly. But that's another thing. I just took a class a couple of weeks ago talking about capture. We don't learn the patience of growing business. And that's in that capture thing. What you just talked about is developing a customer. I'm going to talk to you today with no expectation that you may hire me for the next 18
Yes.
months. But you have to make 100 of those relationships and things, because that's how you now, somebody's calling you at least every month, 2 or 3 times a month. But you have to now have 100 relationships to equal 2 jobs a month. That's not easy, because a relationship is not transactional. We talk about this all the time. It's transformational. So if you just call me once and be like, I want to work with you, I'm like, who are you? I don't know you. Now we get to know each other over a couple of months. We see each other and all of that stuff. It builds into a relationship, you know. But that's just one relationship that builds over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 months. You got, I mean, so you have to be genuine and authentic. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. I want to get right into your books, Lynette, because I was looking for your first book. You have a copy handy. I have her second book that just came in the mail just 24 hours ago. So I haven't had a chance to read it. I'm so proud of you. I want you to quickly take the journey, because these are two completely different books, your first and your second. You tell us about the first book and what was the motivation that drove you to write that book. And let's get into that first, and then real quick, and then we'll get into the second
Okay.
book.
Yeah, the first book is like, I don't know if you can see it, probably not. Broken Ranks, right? It's about destructive leadership and the impact on mental health. And my motivation behind it, it was that a lot of every time I read about toxic leadership or whatever, sometimes people are uncomfortable with that term. So you can call it destructive, bad, ineffective leadership. When I read about it, they always talked about how it impacts performance, how it impacts turnover, how it impacts, but there was not a lot of information on how does it impact mental health. And I wanted to kind of dig into that, and I decided to do my research for my dissertation, and I interview veterans, and I wanted to get veterans from different services, not just Air Force, which was what I knew, but I wanted to talk to people from the Army, the Navy, Marines, and I wanted to get their experience on how does it feel, what is the experience like to work for an ineffective leader, and what did that look like. And anyway, so it took me a year to do that research. So the first book, my motivation was really to talk about, to bring this topic to light. And I'm going to say, to bring it to light, I know toxic leadership, we've talked about that for many years, but funny enough, a lot of people stay away from that subject. A lot of people that love leadership, oh no, why we're talking about that. Well, when you're a doctor, you don't stay away from talking about illnesses. No, yeah, we're going to talk about illnesses because that makes me a better doctor. So let's talk about destructive leadership. What are the behaviors that we display and that hinder the ability of our team to be successful and become better leaders out of that. So my first book is really a lot of research. It has a lot of stories, personal stories of what the people I interview went through, but at the same time it has the backup of different research that I went 10 years back, and different research that has been done in the armed forces and so on. So that was my motivation, to really talk about this topic and talk about how important it is when somebody, especially in the service, because you're in a contract, you can't quit tomorrow, so you're stuck in that situation and you can't get out of it. How does it impact your mental health, and how does spills over to your personal life and so on. So that was my motivation for that first.
No, I appreciate that. And the question, follow up question, just the thought I had when you were describing that, which was a great, timely book. I think it was well done. Yeah, like you said, the topic, sometimes people shy away and they're like, oh, here we go again. But I think it was well done how you did it. And that's why I wanted to talk about that book a little bit more, because I think it was a balance. It wasn't a grievance story, for listeners. I would recommend you pick it up. It's a great guide of research, of understanding the framework of I would say toxic leadership, but not just a grievance story of this was bad. You definitely did a delicate balance of research, storytelling, factual frameworks, how to get yourself unstuck in these different areas. So, very well done on that. So, my question, actually following up on that book, is 2015 ish. We went through this evolution, I was saying, workforce development and leader development, where people were really focused on soft skills, right? You remember we were doing a lot of soft skills things, even after 2019, 2020, when transition into the civilian world. I mean, it just was a thing. We were talking about, a lot of DEI stuff. We were talking about inclusive environments and cultures. We were talking about empathy. We were talking about all of these things to build the human. And I know in my former life in the military, we developed whole schools around teaching command level people these type of skills. I mean, a whole 2 weeks, that's all they're talked about. And I know the book that you have written, and now we'll talk about your new book in a second, Thrive Six and the coursework that you developed around that. Do you think that we have a snap back away? What would you say that, right now, the value of those, now I won't call them soft and hard skills, but the skills of human skills? Where do you think the interest level in that of building? Do you think we're taking steps back, or well, what's the environment that you think we're living in right now?
I think obviously that there was in the last few years, there's been a lot of discussions about, from DEI to, can we say, empathetic, or can be the, it's like, it doesn't matter what you name it. It doesn't matter how you box it, how you want to wrap the gift. At the end of the day, for a company, an organization to have that competitive advantage, you have to deal with people. You're gonna have to rely on people. And if you are not able to connect with people and being able to make them feel value, you're not going to have that competitive advantage. Yeah, you have great, you got that talent for a year, but then you're going to have to spend all that money to train somebody else because they're going to leave you. Who can be successful with undeveloped people? No, you have to develop your people, and that's part of it. Just talking about, again, psychological safety, empathetic leadership, emotional intelligence, all those things, I just don't see them going away. You can name them differently. You can call it connectedness instead of inclusion, or you can call it whatever it is, but I just don't see this there's the value still there, because you are dealing with people, and those are the people that are going to get the job done, and they're going to, you have to translate the employee into execution. How do you get there? You make them feel valuable, and you make them feel that they're part of the company. You align them with your vision, with your mission.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I would add that I don't think it has gone away. I think companies, organizations, federal, civilian, wherever, they're struggling with how. I know on my side of the fence, all I'm getting is this is all we want. They want it, they want it, they want it. They want it, they want it, they want it, they want it. The world is getting, it's different, right? Everybody wants to feel valued, appreciated, all these things. And those words sometimes in current environment might sound, oh, that's a weak word. No, we all want to feel valued. We always did. For my entire 30 plus years of work, I always wanted to. The environment just didn't shape itself around that. And when you feel that, so I think now we're in this great, all of us who are in that workforce development world, the challenge today is not to try to recreate some new leadership, because everything has been done. It's just new ways to present it and new thinking about topics and different things like that. But our challenge today is not to be, I think it's a good challenge. It's not to be so comfortable into, we come and we're going to just brief your people on this. I think the challenge of people who really love this work is to really dig down and understand how to evolve a human being and how to do it better and creative and more innovative, and not just rely on the buzzwords and not rely on all of these flashy things. Like, I think it's made me better, the challenge over the last couple of years. And I think it's made the challenge of us being able to deliver product. So something that a great coach told me recently, he said, stop trying to show your capability. Stop trying to brief your capability. I actually have it right here. Stop trying to describe your capability all the time. Describe your value. If you had 2 minutes to describe what you can do to fill a gap, or to be helpful in this organization, what's your value? Describe the value that RLK brings to the table, not the capability. because the capabilities, everything. Everybody got a missile. Everybody got a leadership development company. Everybody got an LLC. That's your capability.
Listen, I'm going to describe the value in a very, very, very simple, simple way. Have you ever, I don't know if sometimes we get entertained watching TikTok videos. And so I know my husband sometimes sees something funny and he wants me to look at it. And he puts it, hey, look at this. And he puts it really close to my face. And what's the first thing you do? Don't you lean back a little bit and kind of so you can see it? That's exactly what we do. That's the value that we bring to organizations. Because when organizational leaders are dealing with a conflict, they're dealing with group dynamics, they're dealing with maybe their business is not doing the profits that they want to do, all that stuff. Everything that's going on, their problem is so close to their face that they can't see it, and they're not able to lean back. So we're able to do that lean back and look at their problem from different lenses and give them solutions, give them different suggestions and alternatives on how can they resolve that problem. And again, it's just very simple because my daughter does it all the time. Mommy, look at this, and I'm like, wait, why so close? Push it back. You can't see sometimes the solution because the problem is so close to your face.
I tell you what, everyone who listens to this, who's in the workforce, leadership, training, development, they're about to steal that because you just gave away some free game right there. Because that is so pointed. Yeah, I mean, because we were talking to, I shot about Guy Timberlake, one of the, like he's a great GovCon coach, and he talked about bringing your value and how do you do that in a 2 minutes. It's not an elevator speech or nothing like that, but how do you know your value so good that you can just like if you're watching, I would tell you, if you're listening to this, go to YouTube and watch this at this juncture because you want to see what Leenette just did visually because you can see that it wasn't scripted. It wasn't like something she had to think about. It was so natural. So if I was just happened to be in an elevator with her and she had on her RLK, great RLK shirts that they have, and like, oh, what's RLK? Hey, we're a workforce development company. Oh, really? Oh, so what do you guys do? The
Because
value.
the instinct is to read you, right? Recite my capability, my mission, my that's the instant. Oh, well, we can do this and we can do this, and I can give you.
We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We do this. Yeah, we do assessments. We do this. Yeah, we do this. And you're like, no, we make leaders lean
We help
back.
you. We lean back and help you find a solution to that problem.
We help you lean back and find a solution. I know if I was in the elevator, I would go, let me get your card.
Because it happens all the time. Sometimes we're so close to the problem. I remember being an equal opportunity, and I talk about it in this last book, being an equal opportunity and having a little bit of conflict between my team. And I say it in the book. I'm like, you're probably thinking, wait, isn't conflict resolution your thing as equal opportunity? Well, even marriage counselors get divorced. Sometimes you're too close to the problem to be able to solve your own situation, even if you're very knowledgeable about it. You have to.
I'm telling you, we always look for a viral clip in all of these. My producer does. This is the viral. That's it. I'm telling you, like, it's always, this is why I love having these conversations. I rejected doing a podcast for so many years. And when I said I was going to finally do one, I hate even calling it a podcast. I had so many names. It was like conversation with strangers. It was one of the names. I wanted to like interview people in the grocery store and stuff. And that would be like too much logistics. But this is just conversations with great people that I know and I respect and I have met, even if it's for 10 seconds. And I'm telling you, that's the viral clip. That was so telling. If you're not taking that for every aspect of your life, that you just need to lean back because you're too close to it. I appreciate that. So now we're going to get into your second book real quick as we start getting toward our ending of the show. Let's talk about Thrive 6, where survival ends and leadership begins. Let's talk about the book and the resources and the products. Where can we get this at? I'm going to donate 5 copies. So 1 copy each of a listener or viewer who emails me or IM me or DM me, whatever the M that comes, whatever. And when this episode releases, you're the first person to get at me. I will go to Amazon, give her full credit on Amazon, and I will mail you a book to your address. All you gotta do is say, "I'm." Now, if I don't respond to you, it meant that you were not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So give me
Send
some
it to me.
grace.
Send it to me. I'll send them a copy.
I'll send you Leenette so give me some grace. I get a lot of stuff on DMs and stuff. So if I don't respond to you, take it as like Publishing Clearinghouse did not knock on your door, which means that you are not the prize winner. So I'm not going to like respond to a lot of people after the non-winner, but I will send them to Lynette, and maybe she'll send you an email. So let's talk about Thrive Six. Let's talk about that name. How is this a follow on to your brand and what you want to do and put out into the world?
This is my newest baby, right? It just came out. But first, I just want to put something out there. I started writing. I only have two books out there, but I started writing about leadership, never coming from a place that I think that I'm a leadership expert. I actually coming from a place where I have made so many mistakes in leadership that I can write about it. I can. I mean, within toxic leadership, I was like, oh man, maybe I have some tendencies. Maybe I remember when I was a micromanager. I remember when, ooh, and I remember when somebody called me out on it, and I made a conscious decision to change and evolve. Right when it comes to leadership, some people stay stuck and they do the same thing. But anyway, moving on to this new book, it was really about I see so many of my friends that are still either on active duty or they're just in the private sector, but I see them that they have great intentions. They want to be this, that you have this intention of being this amazing leader. You want to be intentional. You want to be take care of your people. You want to get the job done. But I see them that they're so overwhelmed. Their calendar really rules their life. And not only the all the appointments they have, deadlines, leading their team conflict, talking about all the other things that are thrown at you. And suddenly you no longer have time to lead. You are simply putting out fires. And it's hard because you have this vision of the leader you want to be, and now you just became a chaos manager, and sometimes you're not even doing that very well. So I said, I wanted to come up with a framework that really gives them tangible tools, something that they can step one, step two. How can I get to this place where I leave this being stuck and being in survival mode and start thriving and start being able to leading more intentional instead of being reactive? And that's where this was born. And I created the framework that obviously we want to thrive, and that's why I call it Thrive. But it's also a 6-step process, so that's why it's called Thrive Six.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to follow this 6 step process on my flight to San Francisco on Sunday. And I'm literally going to, I took a look at the book. I say, this is my type of book. And I'm not being funny because anybody who has written, have any, I appreciate these type of books. This is the type of book, like I have tons of books on my bookshelf. And I'll be honest, I haven't read half of them. I buy, they're gifts and I read and I buy a lot of books from people and stuff. I've always had ADHD and some different learning disabilities that's either here or there at this point. But any book that allows me to do multiple things other than just look at words is my kind of book. All my books are the same way. They like I have to put activities in because I won't read it. So I appreciate. I'm just saying that I appreciate someone. I was at a event speaking last week and I had one of my books that's similarly like structured this way, and I was giving them out, a ton of them, and somebody got one, and she walked up to me afterwards, and she was like, "I really appreciate how you did this because otherwise I would not have been able to go through this book." And this was a leader in the organization, and she said I would not. She started asking me some personal questions, and I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." So I appreciate from our community but you gave us a tool, but it's for anybody. So I tell you, these books are also perfect. They give you those aha gem moments that you can also go back and self assess yourself, assess different things that you can go like,
The thing about it is like sometimes we write we create this a framework, and it's a lot of people, oh, leadership, oh, that's just about work related. No, there's times I remember leaving the military and saying, finally I'm going to have this work life balance that everybody talks about that I can never find. And I realized that yeah, I probably relax a little bit, maybe for 5 months, but then suddenly I realized that my calendar was full. I was saying yes to everything. And I was so overwhelmed and so stressed. And I said, wait a minute. So was it really the job? Or how much is self inflicted? So these things is not just for leadership. You can translate this into your personal life. You can translate this to the way your dynamics with your own family. It's like, wait a minute, take back control because we give that control away. So I can also take it back. And then what do we do? What are the steps that we follow to get to the to start thriving again and have more control, be more intentional. And one of the things I like that you mentioned about at the end of each chapter, it gives you exercises and things. I feel that sometimes I read a book and it gives you a framework. And at the end, oh, now I can implement it. I have to come up with this plan. And I don't know where to start coming up with this plan. Well, the way I created this book is at the end of each chapter, you're going to have some questions. And if you answer all those questions, you will have 90% of that plan already developed by the time you get to the last chapter, which is creating a plan.
That is awesome. And it's something that continues to live with you and it may evolve. I will tell you, probably a year later, you go back through that book and you probably can go fill some of those same things out and it may change and evolve. And that's why I love assessment so much. So thank you for describing that. We're going to start closing out the show here in a minute and we do our quick fire 3
Ooh,
questions real
okay.
quick fire. You can't think about it. You've done such a great job not thinking, just giving great answers. So you can't think about it. You just got to go with what you know. So first question is one word that describes your journey.
Oh, I will say at the beginning was messy, but I will say now alignment. Alignment would be the
Alignment. Alignment. I like alignment. Messy, no. I like alignment.
word. This is years ago.
We all can go. Yeah, I love the way you did that. You're like, oh man, it used to be messy. Now alignment, alignment. I had to go alignment. All right. A book or resource that you would recommend to someone today. Yes, it can be your own.
Yes, Thrive Six. There's so many great books out there, but I really, obviously, I love this one, but because I feel that it can work for anybody and it's an easy read. So I would say Thrive Six. Pick it up, and I think you will gain a lot from this book.
All right. Tell us something you're currently learning that you're excited about. What are you learning? What is the greatest new spark of things that you are getting yourself into that you're learning? You're excited about this.
Yes, how to properly use AI because we are out there chat GPT questions left and right, not even knowing how to prompt. So AI is the first one. I did find a little app which is called Smarty Me. And every morning I do a lesson on communication. That's something I'm doing at the same time. I'm doing an AI online training and I'm doing this communication. It teaches you how to be more charismatic, how to connect with people in the classroom. It's just communication skills. Some things I already know, some things I could do better. So it's just a good reminder. Very micro learning, very small. So it's through
You say Smarty
Smarty
Me.
Me. It's an app, and every morning I do a little tiny class on yeah.
Micro learning is not the thing of the future. It has literally been here. We just didn't take advantage of it.
Yes.
I would say it's the greatest thing you can do. If you can learn something every day. Actually, so funny. Our Cloverleaf, we do assessments. As all of us, Lynette's a part of an assessment coaching kind of round. We got a lot of people in it, and every day we get a tip about ourselves, and then we get a tip about a teammate. And Lynette just so happened to be my today's tip. So that's a form of micro learning. I'm learning about people who are in my circle, people who are around me. Learn a little bit about them every day. It's pretty fascinating. I actually read it every day at 8 o'clock in
Those
the
tips
morning.
are amazing. It tells you, it because it really reminds you, hey, if you want to deal with this complex task, you might want to catch Todd in the morning, or you might want to do this. So it is
Yeah.
great how it can give you little tips on how to deal with people with your team. Yeah. So I love it. Yeah.
All right, as we close out, legacy. What do you define Lynette's legacy as? What do you want that to look like? What do you want your legacy to be in this world?
I think, and I just want to connect it back to the theme, right? You talked about the beginning about passion. I just want my legacy to be is like it doesn't matter how hard it is, or if someone tells you maybe you don't fit the part, or maybe you don't sound like you should be doing this, or you're wasting your time. Follow your passion, and that's why I want to live my life. I want to role model that. It's like sometimes I'm not gonna make that much money, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes or fail, but I'm going to follow my passion because passion is going to keep that commitment and that motivation from fading. So I said 100% follow your passion.
Awesome. Great last answer. Where can everybody find you, RLK, find a book, find gardening tips, whatever you want to get? Where can they find you?
Okay, I am in LinkedIn, Dr. Leenette Joseph. I am in, we have a website, ROK-Team Solutions. You can find us there. You can email us through there. The books are in, both of my books are in Amazon. If not, you can call me, you can message me directly and I can sign you a copy and send it to you. So, but yeah, we're everywhere in social media. So just, if you see Todd, then I'm there somewhere around there.
Somewhere. 2026, they're blown up. It's like we used to sing in the same band and we all went solo, and now we got platinum records or trying to get platinum records. But I don't see them as much as I used to. But we got to do like a concert where we all can come in and perform, and we got to get back. We used to be together a lot, but
Yes.
no, yeah, it's just. And that's a good problem. I miss having fun hanging out with all you guys and doing that, but it's a good problem to have. It means that we are finding the spaces and the passion and and the things that we really enjoy, and it's getting busier doing it, right? So
The fun part is that every single time we have both evolve and we're doing different things, we're at companies and so on. But every time we get together, we always learn something new from each other. Not just about our story, but something, oh, we should do this or we should do that. And it's awesome. It's just growth is doesn't have an expiration date. It's like we'll continue growing together. So
awesome. Well, listeners, viewers, that is Unbounded Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Simmons. Hey, it's been a great season this year. Well, mid-season. We're going to come to you with something special at our mid-season break. Stay on the lookout for that. We're going to have four of my great friends I've known for some of them 30 years. All of them I've known for quite a bit. We're going to be having a three-part session on a mid-season break, and first one's going to be about fathers and daughters. We're going to be talking about some real stuff, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to that mid-season break. But I appreciate ending our mid-season with Dr. Leenette Joseph, and what a great friend, what a great person to know. If you're not following her, you're not just seeing what she's doing. One of the most genuine human beings I've ever met in my life, and she knows me very well. Like you got to be who you say you are. And Lynette is every bit of who she says she is, and she lives that in real life. So I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. Thank you for all the friendship and all the things. And I wish you nothing but success. I hope you sell 50 million copies of your new book and everybody gets the opportunity to meet you in person. That is Unbounded here. We're out. We'll see you on the mid-season special break. And that's all we have for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing us. Thank you for the support. And we appreciate the feedback that we've been receiving about these conversations. So thank you.